Hi everyone, welcome to a new Disney Infinity tutorial. It is 2020 and what a crap year it has been so far. We have had floods, we have had forest fires, we've now got the coronavirus. I hope everyone is well and safe and you're all staying at home self-isolating. But just to give you an idea how bad this year is, it is April and this is the first clip I've managed to get out to you guys, so I really apologise for that. Slightly things out of my control, and I did promise you a load towards the end of last year. We never got round to it, so I'm starting off with two clips. I'm going to release both two clips at the same time. Will keep you busy, but what we are going to show you in these clips is how to create Mos Eisley Spaceport. Right, and this is the area we're going to do. Now, strangely, I'm not actually going to show you any game. Yeah, this is just the layout for the games that I've got planned. So this is an environment where we're going to set a couple of games, and one of those games is going to be the Mandalorian. And I'll save the other ones till later, but I've got a range of different games, some two player, some single player. But I'm going to show you over the next two clips how to build this spaceport, how to get this environment so we can have this as our backdrop for our levels. Now, everyone, I think there's a mixed, in the Star Wars community, there is a mixed opinion on the last Star Wars film. Okay, in fact, the last two Star Wars films. I have to say I'm not a fan of them. I hated them. I don't understand that you can teleport things through the Jedi Force, but we're not going to go there. I'm not going to rant on there. But I think we can all agree that now the Mandalorian is officially in Europe, and we can officially now see it, which I'm pretty sure most of Europe have already seen it before it did get released. Is the Mandalorian show is probably one of the best Star Wars shows out there at the moment and gives us hope. But if you think about it, the Marvel guys got involved and that is why it's so good. They actually did a really good story, so I liked it. So I'm looking for season 2 for that, so there's definitely hope in the Star Wars world. So what I'm going to show you on here is how to build this environment, but how to get things like the ships to land at the hangar. See how the ship comes down, the ghost ship comes flying down and lands perfectly. I'm going to show you how we get that to work. So we've got different cruisers. We're just going to do this whole environment of the game. I've got little monsters flying through, but we're going to create this city. And the idea of this was trying to make this map look massive. Yeah, so you'll see here it's trying to look like an absolute massive set, and it's not that big. I think they've only got it over 6 squares, so it's not a particularly large map. Trying to keep obviously as much stuff going off, but without using as much memory as possible. So we're just going to use the jetpack, and we're going to fly around here, just to give you a different feel of how the system looks. But this is what I'm going to show you the build over the next couple of clips. Now, I'm going to preach in this clip a lot about a document you can download. Now, on the YouTube channel, there's going to be a link to the PDF, and I've done lots of screenshots of this city, so you can see how I put this thing together. Because if I go through every brick and layout that I've made, it'll take us forever to do it. So let me know in the comments below, because this channel is designed for future game developers. So we're classing this not as a kids channel, so people can leave comments down. It's an informative channel, a learning thing. So definitely need your feedback. So let me know what you think of this look. If you think it looks quite good, yeah. And we're going to get through showing you how to build this city basically. Here we go. Right, so starting with a blank canvas, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to create a smorgasbord of objects. I just thought I wanted to use that word to throw it in. So you'll see here I've just got into Toy Origins and I'm now looking through certain objects, and there's a toy set. If you've got the play set, which is the Speedway, you can still get these on eBay, you can still get hold of these. It's got these 3 components, these hangars, which are amazing pieces, so it's worth getting it just for these particular parts. Right, but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put out all the different pieces that I need to build my level, because I get so frustrated having to go back and forth or not sure which piece I want. So we're going to bring out all the objects that I'm going to use, and so you get a rough idea where I'm going to find them for. So in the Speedway speed set we have those shapes, which is quite good. Alright, we're now going to go into buildings, and we're now going to go to the Aladdin. Okay, so the Aladdin level. Here we go. Now I don't use the temple Aladdins, I use the little village boxes, these square boxes. These are quite good, because I thought these look very much like Tatooine little huts they have on there. So again, just going to stick these out. These are all to use as our palette. Yeah, so we're dropping this on all the different shapes, and again gets me to look at them easily, quickly. Go, what bit do I want and what do I want to use? Right, so I use all those different shapes, which comes in quite handy. I also use these little two towers. I'll show you that a bit later on in this clip as well. I use those. Right, I don't use that wall. That wall's too small. I use a big chunky wall, which is that one. And I surround the whole place with the wall because I don't want the player to go outside it. Okay, so that's there, and I love these little ramps for steps. I use all these, so I'll pull all those three in. Yeah, and we definitely use some of the stalls as well, the bench stalls as well on the screen. I've done this before on buildings, I think it was the Echo base one, but it's quite a good idea when you're trying to think of what stuff I want to put together. And the way this level evolved, I was trying to do the like the volcanic planet that the Mandalorian is set in, and I was just playing around. I had a little idea how I was going to get this thing to work, and the level just didn't look right. I couldn't get it right. Like, as it kept on growing, it then became, actually this is more like a spaceport. The actual map grew, and my gameplay completely changed. So I was going down a particular route and trying to do how it worked, and then it totally changed purely on what I was trying to get the map to happen. So I always say try and keep the map small, but I got slightly distracted. Right, another thing we're going to look forward in here is we're going to go through and we're going to the cottages, and I use a mixture of these huts with the other ones as well. So I'm going to use a couple of these items across. So look where I'm grabbing these building sets so you can see the groups. The only place that you really need separately was for those hangars, which is for the Speedway one, and I think they're only about $3.99, if that. I think that was originally how much they were. They were quite cheap, and I think Amazon are still selling it, and you still get deliveries of those at the moment. So if you can get a hold of it, it's really good. And you go across through here. You don't have to make it a spaceport. It's just that I wanted it to look like the city was alive. I'm going to use these little drop-down climbing tools as well. And one of the things I did when I built the city was that I was also trying to think as what if you didn't have a jetpack and I had objects where I can go and find objects or collect things. So I was thinking in the Mandalorian they have these beacons where they go and check it, and if he gets a particular contract he gets this metal. So I was thinking of going collecting metal as part of the object of the game to find the beacons and stuff like that. So therefore running around the map, I thought what if you didn't have a jetpack. So again, these are little different ideas that came through at the time, and we'll try and expand on these as well. And the idea, once they're here, we can just pick these and mash these across. Now you're going to need to download that document as I mentioned, and we're going to look at this map and then try and build up from there. And you can view the diagram of the ships and how they've been built together. And your map doesn't have to look identical to mine, by the way. We're more worried about the mechanics, and you can design it how you want it to look. Yeah, we are now physically using the Tatooine buildings, and again mixing these all together to try and give it the city that we want. But like I say, it's 5 years on with this game, and I'm still finding new ways or new things to do with it. It's an absolutely fantastic game. Don't get me wrong, I'm still loving my Battlefront 2 is really good at the moment. I've managed to platinum, finally got around to Platinum Horizon Zero Dawn. That's an amazing game. So there's so many good games still out there, but this one is still unique. I was trying to find these are little bridges here. These are quite cool little bits. I quite like that. I use that a fair bit. I'll stick this with the others, because I was looking on the platform in there. That little ledge looks quite good on the side. And we build this across, so we can use these within our level. Yeah, I quite like those with the steps actually. I haven't used them on a couple of other ones. Okay, and we're just picking these little objects around, so find just different shapes that I might be using a bit later on. There's a couple other things we're going to chuck in there. I managed to use some things from the Force Awakenings. That playset has got some good ships in there as well. So that was the other thing I used that I quite liked. And the Rise Against the Empire is still the best one, because that's got the Rebel Transporter as well, which is quite good. Right, so we're going to grab our first piece and we're going to base this on the hangar. So we're going to build our hangar in first. That's our starting point. So we're now going to start building this level. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to put a wall around so the user just couldn't walk around it, so it got an edge. But you can't do that with this shape because this is like a slanting angle. So when I was looking at the hangar, going, well, that's no good. I can't put a wall flush to this because it won't allow me to do it. Okay, because they won't go. You've got to have a gap between it, and I didn't want gaps. I got very fussy. I wanted it. So what I thought I'd do actually, I'll do half a hangar, and then I'll fit a wall on that box. So what I did here is got these little bricks here. Okay, and I want the Tatooine wall wasn't high enough, so I had to make it these bricks. I wanted it slightly high on the screen, so I'm just going to click on these ones. And when I select a tool, by the way, I click on it once to select it, which moves it. Click it again to set it in place, and then I can move the tool around. So this now allows me to build the wall going around the side. So it'll fit flush, and so the user has one end, but they don't be able to get through the other side. I'll just move this slightly forward. Now, when I did the city for the Spider-Man stuff, a lot of people wanted to show me how to build the map, and I gave you a document for this. So this level is purely just a building level. So we aren't going to do any logic. That's all in the next clip. But this is purely just showing you how we space things apart and the different design things you have to think into place. Because one thing I notice is that sometimes you want to be quite exact, or it looks quite far apart. But we need to have a good enough gap so we can have vehicles travel between it. We need them large enough so we can move through. Right, so that's our starting block. Yeah, we now have our city. The stuff behind we're going to clear off once we finish anyway. Right, so let's get our terrain tool up and let's create a couple of these big giant squares going around it, and we can keep adding to those. But again, I didn't want to go any more than 6. If you go too big, we're gonna lose all the memory we've got that we need. Yeah, and depending on whether you're using an older like a PS3 or a Wii, just be wary on the size that you could do. So you may want it smaller, or don't have as many hangars. I think I had 5 hangars in total. Yeah, so you may want to bring that down to 4, just have more ships flying over the top. Right, so that's starting us off. Right, so referring back to that document you can download, and please let me know if you find this document of use and everyone can download it, is, for strangely, I got slightly my pages out of sequence. I only realised that once I've created the clip. What we're going to do is we're going to build our first little block, which is on page 9. So I'm going to grab this shape here, and I'm now going to go and drag this and bring this across. So this, in line with the doorway, I wanted like a path coming from the hangar. Now obviously lining up roughly with main entrance, and again your city doesn't have to be exact, yeah, but I'm just wanting to show you how I put it together, and you can just keep expanding from it. So I've got a reasonably sized gap from the ship so I can get stuff down the side, yeah. And what I was doing with those, playing different things, combining different shapes together. So you'll see here we've got that first box, we need the tower box. And if you see me pause in this clip, it's because I'm referring back to the manual, because I couldn't remember what I did. I just play around with it and then thinking, how the hell am I going to show you what I built? So I was then playing around with the different shapes. So we've got that block there, and then I wanted them at different heights as well. Okay, because by having them at different heights, what we can do then is you'll get different levels. So you again try to give you that scenic view. Because remember, when you're playing the game, you're going to be down ground height, so you're not going to see it from this high angle, which comes in quite handy. And then I thought I'd do different gaps, because then I could have jumping across the characters if you can't do things, if you have to go and collect some rings or go and collect some keys. I thought I could have a clip in the Mandalorian there. I thought we could go and rescue some Mandalorians as well, and have a big space battle. So I thought we're going to use that prison set where you get the keys in, have to go and find some keys that could be scattered around the city. So we'll show you a different story with some of those. But you may find building a town or city easier this way, because you then get to see, right, I want that shape, pull it across. And I was trying to make sure they weren't just square, because if you look in the Star Wars films, they'd seem to be just these huts or buildings that just stagger all over the place. I mean, if you look at the map for Battlefront 2 for Tatooine, it's absolutely a brilliant design map, the way they have the whole thing laid out. So I was trying to mimic something like that. And if you have a few junk bits and pieces, but you get your idea of your ship. Now, one thing you'll notice here as you're building this, it looks a bit odd because we've got the green background, so I'll show you in a moment how to change that. Now for this spaceport, I'm going to release both these clips at the same time, so hopefully the other clip will be out within hours, so please let me know if you like those ones. Now we still have got the Star Wars train heist to come. The reason why that didn't come out at Christmas as planned, I got a bit carried away. I went too complicated on it and I broke it basically. So I got the train going around the track, which was fine, but the way I wanted to shoot the tracks so they collapsed off the train, it all got a bit out of control and it all broke and didn't go as to plan. So I need to do a little bit more work on that one. So I needed a distraction, and I thought the Mandalorian had to be done because I love watching that. But just so you're aware, I will never stop doing Disney Infinity, yeah, unless of course someone actually does buy the rights and does Disney Infinity 4, which I can't see doing it because Warner Brothers own it, not Disney. Warner Brothers own the software, so unless Warner Brothers did everything, but I've mentioned this in the past, I can't see it happening again. It would be lovely to work. And I got a funny feeling that Disney Infinity is not going to be compatible on a PS5, so that's going to be a bit of a shame. Would wonder if you get more memory on it, but probably not. So I need to look after my PS4s. Right, so that was the other thing. I was doing on the Asgard set. I was doing these little borders around the edges as well, trying to make it look like, because it would just sometimes look a bit flat, and therefore it looks like changing the roof of it gave a good little look on here as well. And I don't do this on every single one because again, I was concerned about that memory gauge, but I think we use half of it for this map, so it's not too bad. Which works alright. And I again was thinking, you go up the steps, you jump across, and you jump across again. So to get to that top room, you have to use the bit. If you've not got a jetpack person, then you've got to do certain things with the so it allows the user to explore it. So we'll see how these go. But I say, I've been playing some great games, but I still keep coming back to this. I mean, those that are looking to get into developing, I've got my head around Dreams now, and Dreams is amazing. I don't know how to do tutorials on it, so I don't think I'll ever do it because there's plenty of them available. But if you see some of the work, they're really good. Oh, one point I have to do a shout out to. Who's the guy? Is it Jaminator 13? I'll put a link on this page. Look out for the Civil War trailer. Oh my god, that was amazing. You need to check that out. It's called the Civil War trailer. Go watch that. It's amazing. Okay, put that in there. What we're going to do here, by the way, is we're just going to change this now to Tatooine. So I'm changing the landscape. Tatooine. There we go. Yeah, I'm sure it's Jaminator 13, by the way. It's called Civil War. Now, it's quite funny because I was quite happy with my trailer that I did for The Rise of Skywalker. If you ever look at it, I call it The Rise of Disney Infinity. I was quite pleased with it. And then this guy's just done his own movie of Civil War against Disney Infinity, and it is amazing. So much so, my daughter watched it, and she looked at me and she said, "That makes your one look total crap." And I went, "Yeah, it did really." It was such good, so highly recommend watch that. It's a really good clip. It just shows you what you can do. I don't know how long it took him to do that, but that was impressive. So I love that clip. So good work there, mate. Keep that going. Right. As we're going through here, so you'll see now that we've got the backdrop, now that we've got the landscape, it now looks more suited to the building. On the green set, it looked completely wrong. So we're now going to go and build the other side of the street. And again, I'm looking just try and line it up slightly so it looks like a street. Again, trying to keep the gaps big enough so we can have some movements. I'm thinking I might want a scout walker going down the screen. And we're now going to build this little place here. combination of blocks that I'm building are actually referenced on page 4 of the document that I mentioned. Just thought I'd mention it again, which you can download from the link on the YouTube channel. But if you go to page 4, that's the section. Well, top of page 4, that's the the group of buildings I'm trying to put together. So again, you think you want to group them together, keep the spaces apart. That allows us vehicles to go down. It gives us different types of choices that we're going to do with this. But once this level is set, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this as the spaceport, and then I'm going to keep it separate. And then what I can do then is I'll resave it for different levels, so I can use it as my base groundwork for all my other objects. So we can have Mandalorian as a copy of that one, and then I'll do another save as for the next one that we've got lined up as well. So we've got a few here. So you may get sick and tired of this spaceport over the next few weeks or so. And I'm hoping the next few weeks, I'm going to be able to get these other ones finished. With it being the Easter break, finally being Easter, I managed to get a few days off, not having to work, so we can do this, get this one set out for you. I think that was the wrong block I picked. I wanted a slightly smaller one. Now, I will probably look at coming back and doing a Jakku battle. Okay, a few of you now asked me to do a Jakku battle, which will... it's not Jakku, I can't pronounce it. You know me, I can't pronounce my things, I get them all mixed up. But what we'll try and do is we'll look at different levels we've got building up. But the train heist is definitely going to come after this one. And I've still got how to jump start to finish off my Infinity War series, which I didn't get around to doing. It's when you try new things and it doesn't work, and it breaks me after a while, and I need to go and finish and complete a game. So I like to get things a little finished. I'm also trying to platinum God of War at the moment, which is another good game, which I love playing. But there you go. So yeah, these are the bricks we're putting together. So again, just putting them together. So this was to show you basically how I built the city, yeah, and how you move them about, and how you don't cluster it around, and you just keep adding to it. Again, be mindful of what you're using, because this has got nothing to do with the logic. Yeah. Now the good thing is all these pieces that I'm using, I'm reusing them. There's not like in the city. There's loads and loads of different types of pieces, because I'm using the same set. If you use it 10 times, once you've got it once in your box, it doesn't take that much memory, so you can use it 20 times. It keeps it quite low, which is not too bad. And these little banisters sometimes just make it a little bit more interesting around the side. And what we'll do here is I will probably have in some part of my level, we have to go on top of the buildings and we have to go and collect certain keys or collect certain materials or whatever it is to go and track down our bounties. That'll be the plan or something like that. But the key thing out of this clip, and I think the reason why this one turned into a spaceport, was the thing I was here. I'm not really showing you anything new. All I'm just showing is building a spaceport. But the one thing I did work out, which was another new thing, and like 5 years into this game, I'm still finding different ways that I can't find this game so amazing, was I wanted to get the ships to fly in, land, wait a while, take off and fly off again, and have that repeat. I didn't want it just to be a one-off thing. Now, way back, I did a Boba Fett, how to execute somebody, and when you rescue the person, the ship takes off. So I used the logic for that, but then I'm thinking, but I want it to come back down again and fly. How do I get to that? So my puzzle for this level actually was, how do I get a hangar to actually work? And that's the thing I'm going to show you in my follow-up clip. Yeah, that's the key new thing that I haven't shown anyone yet, is how I get that effect that ship comes in, lands, stays still and takes off, because you can't actually do it with a logic gate. Once you stop something, it disconnects it and switches it all off. So I've got a couple of little tricks there to show you, see what you think of those. And there we go. So we're now building our little city. We're now going across. You'll see I'm just grabbing the little boxes here. Again, trying to get all the pieces together. And try and get my little map set out. Again, making sure that the path is big enough. See, it looks quite small there, but there's actually 3 boxes there. 3 boxes is quite a wide little gap there, which is quite good. And I love these little archways. The little tunnel things look really good. And again, we want to keep the map small. We don't want to try and get too complicated. So one thing I liked in the Battlefront 2 level is that you had steps that go down, you different heights, and I thought I was going to do that, and that was just making the ground go different level was way too complicated. So I did it in the towers instead. You can go up different items in towers. So that was the logic with my head I was coming with this one, that if I do the ground bit, it's going to just make it way too complicated. And again, I'm using totally different types of terrain tool, so again that messes it all up again. And these towers here, now be careful with these towers, and I'll preach this again in this clip again. These towers are different all different way round, so you can use these as many times, but what you want to do is you don't want them all facing in the same direction, because if you have them slightly different, then they start to look different in the actual building. So I tend to twist those round, so some facing the other way round, so when you look through they will give you that weird look that it's a different building or different object. So this is just how I was building certain things up, and again trying to keep it all the shapes different, because there is no structure to Tatooine. It's not like you got high street left, right and centre. It's just a mishmash of alleyways, which is what I wanted to try and give you that feel, so we could have different battles or close battles down between the two of them. So there we go. That's our little town in, and now to get this thing here, so it now starts forming a certain streetways. Yeah, different layers and structures. We've got a building on the end there. I think that was the big one that I used. And what you want to try and do is don't use the same object. Buildings you see I have done, but don't use the same big objects at the places. If you're using a big object, try and use them in different places, or position them differently so they look odd. So I'm just trying to line this one up. Now in this case it's slightly different to the big box here, but you'll see here I've got that fitting flush, which is fine. I haven't got a problem with that. And what I'm going to do now is to make this look like the thing, I'm going to put two little buildings on top of it. So if I go across over here and grab these little things, which are perfect, these little ones down here. So I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to stick this on this way. Right. Now the question here is, again, I don't want to give the impression they're duplicated, so if I twist it the other way around, it gives you the view. When you're looking at it, it gives you a view. Now if anyone has played God of War, the level design is brilliant, because there's a couple of bits where I played one section and I spent 20 minutes going basically in a big giant U-shaped bend where the level went up in a cylinder part, and the graphics they used just allowed me to carry on going around. They used such a small space of coding to give you that effect, which is quite impressive. I mean, if you ever get used to Dreams will do the same thing. And some of the stuff that people are coming up with Dreams is mind-blowing. So I think I'm just going to stick with Disney. So sorry guys, that's where I'm standing. I'll play around with Dreams, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything that's in the realms of what some of the developers are doing at the moment. Some really clever stuff. Right, so I'm just going to add in some stalls. This is just going to split that path, because I thought the path was getting too big. And again, it's just seeing what you think it looks like. Again, trying to make it evenly down the side. But then what I then found is that I now want it to break off into different alleyways. Yeah, how do I change the group? So some of the shapes will do that, and it's just keep the focus in mind. And if you want to keep checking your play, come back to your character view, the view how it looks on the gameplay, and keep testing it. So this shape's great. It's already automatically, it's a large shape, takes up a lot of space already done. But by separating this section here, it now diverts you into another side section. So the road splits to the left and right, and we've now got the opposite side. So I quite like that it now pushes me to that side of the screen, and now we've got another section down here. And I had to put the canteen in here. My only worry about the canteen for this clip is that it's got the music in it, and you can't switch that off. So the only problem there is whether I get the option to be able to play the music with it. Will say I can't do it. So we'll hope and see. You can only hear it for a little bit. So we now have the canteen music on the screen and the path. And then there's another couple of things that we did under the Force Awakens box. Now, again, try to mix it up so it's not all the same, but there are some set pieces that I've always wanted to try and find a use for. try and pick them out. Something I really like. And this from The Force Awakens is a really good set. You see that, by the way, 5 years of playing this game, I still don't know where the menus are. Right, so if you look in here, I've always liked that. I think that's really cool. It's just a cool, and it's trying to fit it in with the environment. Sometimes it looks odd. So if you've got the Force Awakens set, again, nice spacing about. Yeah, it's part of the city, and then I'm going to build some sections and paths from that side there. But it's a really good little component, and again, varies it up. Looks like a little city part, which I quite like. Right, then I had this big gap here going, oh god, I've got a gap here. So I think in my map I put a couple of stalls, but I thought, I know what, I need a big building in here, let's change that. And again, I'm looking on the dynamic that when you're looking, it wants to look stuffs all down every street alley. You look, it's not just a bait path. So basically, you come out, you turn around, you're blocking seeing that path. You're not going to see large gaps, which is quite good. And then we're going to build some other options around going around there. So, and another tool is don't use the same tool twice. Well, I rephrase that. Don't use the same thing right next to each other. So here's you got that shape. Now I'm going to put this over here, which means by the time you go from the two areas, it looks like it's a fresh item again. So these are called assets, yeah. So you're reusing an asset. So so a lot of developers use these where they may have like a lamppost they use again and again every 100 meters. So the assets are reused. This is the thing that they're going to say that's going to make things super fast because they fix these assets things on these new SSD drives, whatever they are. Right, where am I going? Oh yeah, right. The thing I'm looking for here now is in the Force Awakens. You see, I'll use this from the menus because again, the Jakku level will be quite good with this. Is that on there you've got the big ATA, this thing here. This is quite cool. And again, this fits actually quite well with the Spaceport because it is just like a junkyard of garbage. So actually, this is the first time I've used this, and it actually fits in with the environment I'm using it for. So okay, so I've got the path down the side, and I'm going to build my wall around it. So this works all rather quite well. Now, just to let you know, by the way, the map that I'm building, I've already built the city, so I'm actually recreating what I've made on my level, and I'm basing that basically on my little handouts. So I created the whole map, and I'm thinking, how the hell I'm going to show you this? So what I'm doing here is this is just looking at those notes and checking what I positioned in it and moving those bricks around. And there's a slight difference to it. I mean, only a slight difference, but again, it's giving you that the same type of scenario how I'm going through. So you can make it look very similar. And we're going to build your city. So that fits in perfectly. Great stuff. Now don't worry that there's a gap down the side here, because what I wanted to have outside the city was a sound cooler going round. I didn't want that getting involved, so we've got the big giant sound cooler there, which is quite good. So now that's all starting to come together, which looks good. Right, so now I'm going to build a couple of high block different other towers on the screen, and we'll have a few other bits and pieces. I'm not going to build the entire city because it'll just take forever, but it's just to get you the idea of referring to that PDF document, yeah, and looking how I've constructed the shapes. You can create your own designs. I've constructed these towers thinking, hold on, how I can climb up one way, jump, thinking of different ways of connecting them. And this is another level I thought, how do I get some sort of like, you have to do some exploring. So I wanted people to be able to search for it. So again, I want fun searching and finding these things. And one thing I'm going to do in the level is I'm going to try and randomize the game, so that when I'm playing it, I don't know where it's going to be. I don't want to go straight to the answer. It's going to be in different places. So I want to be able to search through the street and have those little moments. Because although Battlefront is a great game, and although I love that, the best Star Wars games I think I've ever come across is Disney Infinity. The characters are brilliant. Being the Jedi is so good, and I can pick a Disney character, give them a lightsaber, and I can just be a random Jedi. It still does get me really angry that they cancelled it. The only good news I heard this year was it this year the CEO of Disney's left. God for that. Oh well. Now again, I'm just looking at the document trying to match it up with those pages to see how they go from here. I was going for a weird shape. I wanted again different shapes here, different towers, different ways of grabbing certain items. And this large one's quite good because you can get those tall towers on there as well, so that's quite handy. But the second clip I will release, you'll see it's slightly indented stuff here, but the second clip I release will show you how to make all the ships fly in and how to add the people to the city. So it's like variations to that. So that's all the logical side to it. Now, if you want to just see how I'm to put this document to get this building together, it's on top of page 8, I believe, this particular one that I'm doing. And again, it was designed to try and hide stuff and clues there in the building. But I'll just let this carry on building through and just see how this all forms together. Now, the one thing I love about Disney Infinity is the fact that you can just still do different things. Now, I'm up to 120 odd videos, Disney Infinity videos, and I'm still finding new things out of what to do, and I'm still finding different games to create. So I absolutely love this game. I know there's been long gaps between my clips, but I've got loads of ideas coming. Now, one of the things I've been playing while everyone's on lockdown is that I've been using the Switch. And I find some of the games very expensive, but one thing I've noticed that a couple of games that have come out on the Switch were Xbox exclusives, and one of those was it Ori and the Blind Forest. That's a fantastic platform game, by the way, if anyone gets that to go. So that's given me a couple of ideas of doing platforming. So from that, I was so clever how that's designed, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to look at doing a level to do with platforming, which makes me want to create my own one. And I have got a Darth Vader Mustafa type level to do with platforming, so I've got that coming up. I've still got my snow heist coming, so I've got plenty of ideas and plenty of clips to make. The only trouble is, you know how good and reliable I am at getting my clips out, so I'm hoping for the rest of 2020 that I'm going to get these clips done and developed for you, but they do take a while to come together. I mean, this one itself, by building the level, there's about like 6 hours of stuff that I've recorded, and then I've cut this all down to 50 odd minutes to fit it all in together. So they do take a while to get together, and with everyone's busy, hectic lives, it's trying to fit that all in, which is getting difficult to more and more tricky as it goes on. But I always got to keep coming back to this game, so don't ever think that I've given up on Disney Infinity. Clips will come out. Yeah, I apologise I can't do them as regularly. It does take its time. Right, so we're just building this bridge up. Now, when we got this section up here built up, this is just another little technique that I use to try and work out where to place certain pieces. Okay, because like I said, we want to try and make this map look massive. To wherever you look, it looks like there's buildings and there's stuff in the distance. So this is our little building that we're building here, but I'll show you in a moment how we could try and take those little effects to add certain features, just so it again gives you that extra depth. So we'll build this little ramp around the side. You can see I like this piece. I got a bit carried away. Once I found it, I thought I'm going to use this all over the place. So I did get a little bit carried away, I think. Right, and then I did the ladders again. And again, by putting borders around the edges of these, sometimes directs the user where do I need to go and where I need to find these little items on the screen. So I'll grab these. See, by coming up into here, if it was all blocked in, you wouldn't know where to go. But when you leave a little gap, go, why is there a gap there? We want the user to want to look through the back. Yeah. So by leaving a gap there, so there's a little section there, and they will then want to have, oh look, and then it leads them to the step ladders. That was a theory in my head anyway. Put little shapes in. Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I didn't put them all on every single thing because I didn't know how much memory it was going to take. Sometimes can take the whole section up. And there's our little building, which is quite cool. We can now put our little wall around the side of it. Which is something similar to that in our document that I've got. And it gives that odd shape, little cracks, just to give it that more authentic build on it. So that's not too bad. And on its standard, look, doesn't fit too bad on the screen. Right, now this is the technique that I was talking about earlier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to land back in here, and this is what I keep checking, keep coming back, looking at the angles from you guys. So if my guy's in the city, look, we're in the city here, great. So I come out of the spaceport, I look to the side, look at that, I've got the building this side. You go, okay, look, I've got some buildings, look at that. And then hold on a second, as I walk to the right, you'll see there's a big, just a clear blue sky, which makes that quite hollow. Look at that, alright, it's all got nothing. So I need something to stand out from a distance. So I wonder what towers have I got. So there's a couple of long tall cylinders as well, but there's this particular tower. I think this looked quite well. There's a couple of the other these shapes on this one I use as well, but I use this particular one in the picture. I think I stick this one just about here at the end of it. It's like a radio tower. Again, I use a couple of them, and again, when I do use them, I twist them slightly as well. So if you look at the map, they're not all twisted in the same direction. So I twist them sideways, so again, they look slightly different type of objects. So I'm placing that there, hoping for that to give the effect that I want. So if I go back to being Boba Fett now, and this is where you can say, right, what can I see? So we come back down here, we're looking at the map. So if we now look on the screen here, we've got the tower there, look, brilliant. As we look along here, we now get another tower in that gap. It now fills that section. So we have a building. I probably need something else there, probably sideways, which I put another block in, but it gives you the impression, look, I've got buildings all that side. I look down this side, I can see buildings. So that's what I do when I'm playing these games, when I'm testing it, what's the look like? And then I can add various other objects to it. Right, let's build another level. And again, I was trying to think of different types of buildings. So what we're going to do is going to grab this one. I think this is on the beginning of the box. I'm going to chuck this over here. So we'll have two of these. Again, keep the gap big enough. Again, I'm just moving the buildings around. Cool. And that's where I use these blocks here. These are the ones I wanted, like little pillars. So stick those out. So again, looked like the archway. I was mimicking the archway that I picked from the other side of the building. So there you go. You got your little building done. And then I thought, I don't want to put the little things in. Can I put anything on the top of that? It's a bit flat. So then I thought, oh, I know what I can do. Let's grab one of these. Right, and let's stick it up. Now the thing here is, I'm going to put the back to it so people think that it's a solid building. So because when you start from that side of the map, it's going to look solid, right? But actually, I might store some hidden treasures inside there. So I thought, well, that's quite good. And then I thought, well, how the flipping hell am I going to get the stairs up? So I thought, I know what, let's grab some stairs. And I'd say if you do build this, when you start building it and you start wandering around, especially once the ship's flying through, all I want to do is like, what's my gameplay going to do? Let's get some stormtroopers in, and let's have some sand people. I want to fight. I want to do some sort of mashup. It got me quite excited for that. And that's what I quite like about this game. It's still now after all these years, it's 5 years old, this game, and I'm still finding it. It's just still excellent fun. Yeah. And I do this every year. I think I have a session of playing with Disney Infinity, and then I have a proper sulk and paddy that some person came up with a bright spark of letting this game go. Yeah, do you know what? We're not going to do it. Or some muppet created too many flipping characters and it's cost them a fortune. Yeah. It's to me, it's like, how did someone not get... Why did those poor developers lose their jobs when it was basically bad management? And we're not talking management from the game companies, we're talking management from the actual Disney themselves. Because there's no way this should have not made money. Look at that. And there you go, I've got a new different type of building. And again, I've got a courtyard area in here, so I want to chuck in one of the ships. So again, thinking my different ships as I was going across, what do I fill in here? So go to my buildings. And I'm pretty close to it. Now, so far I haven't built any hangars. So don't get distracted, because you're going to need some hangars and you need them spaced apart. So if you look back in that document, you see I've got one in the corner. But basically you want to have hangars where the ships are going to fly out. Now I put the Sarlacc pit in here, and I think probably I should have taken out and put another hangar in. So you'll see here I'm just putting different buildings in. Trying to keep the spacing around. And I can probably put another building in there. Go and grab one of those buildings. I love that one there. Yeah, I've used that before, and that's alright. I've used that the other side of the building, so you don't see that straight away. So it works quite well. So that's not too bad. It's all coming together nicely. And again, from a distance it looks quite a big gap, but once you're playing in it, it moves quite neatly on the screen. Right, now I think the last building I'm going to build is this. I just came up with something different. I quite like the look of this. And again, when I'm hunting for certain treasures that I've got to find, or components or keys, this is definitely going to be used in one of my gameplays. Plus also it gave me a tower bridge, so I wanted to try and do a different type of tower. So I'm going to show you building this building as well, which I believe is on page 6 of my notes. But again, just picturing the space and the placing of it. So we set these up. It's 5 of these boxes that you need. Right, let's go and use some of those ramps that we've already used earlier. Let me know in the notes, by the way, if you do build the space station, see how it went, and tell us what you thought of it. See if it came together the way you wanted it to go. And just in case you were playing this back, yes, I did call it Space Station and not Spaceport. And if you've been following my channels for a while now, you do realise that I mess this up quite regularly. It's because I don't have a recording studio or anything like this. I do this all on my PS4. And I basically can do the clips and prepare them all during the day when I get a moment, but the only time I can record anything is when everyone's asleep. Right? So because I have teenage girls now that are just noisy, so what we tend to do is that I make sure they're all fast asleep or they're watching the TV, and then I can do the voiceover, which at that point is probably 1 in the morning, which is why I'm so tired that I I'm amazed I'm just not a mumbling mess. Which, if you listen back to a few of them, I do mumble a fair bit. But you seem to have followed me up till now, so that's always a good sign. Right, and now I'm just rambling on now as I just fill in time as I do this last section. Now the good thing is this is the last building we're doing, yeah. And then when this finishes, I'll just do an overview of this level and let you just go and finish building the rest of it. The next one is going to be a bit more taxing. The next clip that we're going to show you is going to do the logic, and it's going to start getting messy because there's a lot of path tools we're going to use, and they're not small path tools either. There's quite a lot of lines, so they're going to start disappearing. So if any of you have done those train tracks that we've done in the past, we're going to have a lot of lines, so it's keeping track and organised of those. So the easy bit is doing the building, yeah. So there's no excuse for you not to be able to build your spaceport. But we want to try and make this place come to life, and the next bits, they're all simple logic, by the way, nothing too complicated, so it shouldn't put you off. It's very simple. There's just a lot of lines, and so you just be organised. And one thing you need to do constantly, I haven't mentioned it now, is continue to save as you go along. Do a building, get it set up, save it. Do another building, get it set up, save it. And then when you're bored and having a rest, come out and then save your levels or your toy box to a USB stick or save it to the cloud. Yeah, I've lost on Disney Infinity. It has crashed a fair number of times, so I make sure I've got a number of copies of it blocked and stored elsewhere, because you don't want to lose those particular clips. Okay, right, I'm just finished off the different building again. Different heights, which I'm playing around with, which allows you to do the mixture of the towers. Because what I was going to do is going to have multiple towers, high and low, and you can check the notes how I've done that. But again, if I use those other tools here, where are they? Get one of these big towers. What you can do with these are to make them look differently when you look at them. And like I said, there's different aspects to this, yeah. So that one has got the pipe to the back of it. Then this one I'm going to twist round, hopefully. Twist it. Did I twist it in this clip? No, I don't think it was too small. But again, you don't want them all to be the face same direction and when you do it. But that gives the gist of it. Look at the notes. I've written the rest of the one on these on page 4-6. I'm now going to give you an overview of the map, but you're going to go and carry on building these spaceports, and you want a few of these scattered around. So if we now just do a quick little overview of what the level will look like once you get finished, you should have your city, okay? So if you carry on filling the guides, just to recap, this is what your city will look like. Yeah, these are the spacings that we've done, the little gaps down the side, the building that you saw on the side here. I've done another weird shaped building on the screen. We've got the hangars in the corners, not all in the corners by the way, some halfway through, so mix that up a bit. And again, the wall goes through them. As you'll notice, the wall is the part that separates them through, so it goes through the barrier and carries on down the side. Yeah, which works quite well. And you've got the ships. Now obviously I'm going to show you all this part in the next clip, how you then make it look comes to life, which by having them on their own is great, but having the ships fly in and out, that now makes this whole city come to life here. And there's enough going on in this city now to make it look quite active. So we've got different ship, we've got little hovers like we're doing skimming across over the planet. I used an Avengers mini hovercraft thing. That was quite a cool little thing. So strangely, I've not used any power discs in here. So no power discs at all. All I've used are the play sets. So those special power discs just to give us the item we want. And if you notice in the hangar, I used a grey matting. So it's just a flat square, then used the Echo base thing on the top. And that's now how you saw I did the buildings. And if you look at the two towers, I did twist them round so they were slightly differently on the screen. Right, that's it for part one. Everyone stay home and stay safe, and I'll get the second clip out immediately, so you get 2 clips this week. Cheers for watching everyone, thanks for all your support, and speak to you soon. Bye.